Gen Con 2022 is happening just before the launch of Pathfinder Travel Guide, a new book which will help you make your gaming world come alive with detail. It covers everything from regional fashion to architecture to games that common folks play and more. You even get a section which outlines what your average commoner knows about the happenings of the world, so you'll know what to say the next time your party chats up that local bartender. Before we jump in though, if you're looking for a fun tool to enhance your games, check out the Fablemaker's animated tarot deck by our sponsor Hit Point Press. This is a beautiful tarot deck that features unique animated art on each and every card. Combine your new deck with the Fablemaker's Tarot Guidebook to learn how to add some magic to your 5e games. With guidelines for game masters and players alike, you'll be shown how to use the tarot spreads within your campaigns, enhance existing 5e classes with tarot cards, use the major arcana cards as NPCs, and much more. The book also includes a fully developed tarot-themed NPC named Nova for use in your campaigns. Pre-order the Tarot Guidebook, deck, or box set today and get a free PDF of the Fablemaker's Tarot Deck and Guidebook with your order. Shape your story at animatedtarot.com or use our link in the doohickey down below. All right, we are back at the Paizo booth, and we're here with Luis Loza. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How's it going?
It's going really well. Are you enjoying the con so far?
Yeah, I've had a lot of opportunity to talk to people about our game and my books specifically, so it's been a lot of nice things, and it's exciting to see everyone else so excited about Pathfinder and Starfinder here.
And this must be exciting too, because this is basically the launch of your baby, your next book, Travel Guide, Lost Omens Travel Guide, which is landing in a couple of weeks here.
Yes.
August, what did we decide, August 30th?
31st. Yes.
And why don't you just tell us about Travel Guide?
Okay, so Travel Guide is an interesting situation, I think, with the Lost Omens books. We try to give you in-depth information about specific subjects, something like Knights of Lastfall, an organization or a specific region like Mongi Expanse. But this is the first time we're trying to, at least first time in a while, we're trying to go very broad. Intentionally so, though. The Travel Guide is what I like to describe as the guide to everything but adventures. If you read a book like Knights of Lastfall or Mongi Expanse, we tell you about regions that you can explore, monsters you'll find, ruins and treasure and stuff like that. This covers everything else that you're not doing when you're out on an adventure. So it covers things like what kind of food you're going to be eating, the kind of art and architecture you're going to encounter, the sports and pastimes that people are doing while you're coming into town, how much it costs to buy a house, little things like that that fill out and flesh out the world, and hopefully give you and your players and your entire group more options to latch onto for role-play opportunities.
And I think this book really, every session you're going to have, your players are going to walk into a tavern in a different region of the world, and they're going to want to know, and you want to, as a game master, make it feel like they are in that particular geographical location. Yeah. And you don't want all your taverns to feel exactly the same, all your stores to feel exactly the same. And this is the book that tells you how the fashion differs from place to place, how the architecture is different. Yeah. And I think my favorite part of the book that I've seen so far is that you have a whole section about what does the average person know about the world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I keep an eye out or an ear out for what people are saying about our game and our world and stuff like that. I'm always peeking around on Reddit and our message boards and stuff like that just to see what people are interested in. And I think I've seen a number of people wondering, what do people know about the Starstone? Do they know how it works and stuff like that? Because when you read a book, you're being told kind of from a top level, omniscient way that maybe the people in the setting wouldn't know. So we wanted to establish the kind of the baseline of knowledge, what everyone does understand. So we tell you how do people know about the Starstone, what do they think it does, things like that. And then we also break it down region by region. So if you're from the Mongi Expanse, you might know about Old Mage Jatembe and his 10 magic warriors, but if you're someone from up in Barissia, you've probably never heard of them, but you have heard of Ancient Thassalon and the Rune Lords and stuff, and we give you kind of a general idea of what most people, depending on what part of the world they're in, will understand and know, and hopefully that'll make it easier for GMs to answer the question when we ask the farmer, hey, have you heard of the Rune Lords? The what now?
Yeah, no, it helps you fill out your world.
Yes,
exactly. And the things that maybe don't fit into every adventure path that you write, now you have all of the flavor that you need to make the world come alive.
Definitely.
Are there any other parts of the book that are very exciting to you? You have festivals in there to make the time of years feel good?
I think I love every section of this book in its own way. If I had if it were up to me, I would spin out every single chapter, every single section of this book into its own Lost Omens book. You'd have a whole Lost Omens book about cuisine and a whole one about fashion and time and architecture and all that stuff. And I think we could do a good job and give you a lot of details on that. But I'm really a big fan of the pastimes. We introduce a new sport called basilisk, which is it's kind of like a weird lacrosse, rugby-ish myth that includes this mask that you use to lower a visor and limit how much you can see because the basilisk is there and you don't want to get turned to stone. And it's this really weird thing. It's really interesting, but it also introduces this like international league of different teams and stuff and tells you all about the different positions. So you kind of get a good feel about what that sport would look like and what it would play like. And the other thing I'm a big fan of is something that's been around for a very, very long time but hasn't been detailed. If you ever look at the art of our spellcasters casting a spell, there's the big ring of runes and all these different effects that manifest around their hands as they're casting it, which is a little bit of flair that Wayne Reynolds first introduced when creating the Iconics. And if you ever take the time to look into Wayne's history and background on designing these characters, he referred to those as spell signatures and explained, everyone has a different spell signature. And I thought, that's such a great piece of information that no one would know unless they know to follow Wayne on Facebook or whatever. So I wanted to codify that and talk about here's how that works, here's how magic works, and here's how people understand a spell signature. And you even get to see 2 diagrams of 2 different spellcasters and their spell signatures and what the different runes mean and what they represent.
You have one experienced spellcaster and then one novice who maybe doesn't know how to differentiate hers just yet. So it's really kind of amazing. And yeah, I had seen that and I had no idea that existed. Yeah. And that was one of the cooler parts of the book. You have a whole diagram of each one, kind of showing the different parts and how to make it your own. So do you hope that maybe players at home who are playing spellcasters will kind of design their own signatures and share them out with y'all?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what that's kind of intended to, is to personalize your spell signature. That section tells you that everyone has their own unique spell signature, and there might be common traits of certain signatures that might look like they are kind of generic, all the abjuration magic looks the same way, but it specifically notes now everyone has their own unique way, so that everyone, just like would have their own unique character, will have their own unique spell signature as well, and that is a kind of an extra fun thing in addition to the way you look or the way you talk or your personality, another way you can customize and really make a character your own.
And the whole book is basically pretty rules light. Yeah. And so if you want to use this book, maybe now that you're maybe playing 5e rules with your Pathfinder setting, as a book kind of below here, you might see in the booth is Kingmaker, coming out for Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules and for D&D 5e. So you could totally just grab this book and use it for your 5e games using the Pathfinder Golarion world. Or I think you could even just use it as inspiration for even homebrew. Things that maybe players or game masters haven't thought of, maybe don't have the background for fashion and architecture to be able to do that. Did y'all keep that in kind of mind a little bit as you were designing it, other ways people could use the book?
Yeah, we wanted it to be a broad use. We wanted hopefully every single person at the table to want to read this book and understand whatever it is that they're most interested in. Not everyone really cares about spell signatures. If I'm the fighter, I don't really care, but I might be interested in that basilisk sport because that seems like something my character could do, or even just hopefully something that's an interesting read. Getting to learn about the world just a little bit in a way that doesn't it's brand new to the way we've been presenting things with Pathfinder before. If you read other stuff, it's all adventure related, but this is a kind of hopefully a breath of fresh air in terms of the kind of stuff you're learning about.
Yeah, it's a great way for players. I think about it for game masters, but it's also great for players who want to ground their characters and when they create their family members, knowing kind of what their family members' lives look like, where they live, the interiors of their shops. You even have some diagrams of that. It's amazing. Now you are also you're the development lead on all the Lost Omens books, correct?
Correct, yes.
So what other Lost Omens books are coming down the pike that have been announced? Or you can tell us about the ones that haven't been announced. That's okay too.
So
I'll keep it between us.
Sure. Us and the mic and the recording, no problem. So after Travel Guide, a few months after that, we're releasing Impossible Lands, which is a huge, even bigger than the Mongi Expanse, actually. Huge book focusing on one of the meta regions. The Impossible Lands, which includes Geb and Nex and the Manawace and Jalmorain. So for the really kind of offbeat, really interesting, esoteric areas of the world. and that includes a number of new ancestries, new options, magic items, the kind of stuff you're expecting, as well as deep dives into specific cities and regions and the area around there, like you would expect from the Mwangi Expanse, plus new gods, all that stuff. Enormous book, over 300 pages, so that's a lot to look forward to there. And
do we have any kind of, we've had Alkenstar in the Guns and Gears book, we had it in the Outlaws of Alkenstar. Do we get more Alkenstar information in there?
Yes, absolutely. We give you a deep dive of the city and then the duchy itself, and then the surrounding region. Of course, the Mana Waste. We talk about how magic doesn't work sometimes, and we give you the tools you need to play around with that if you want to introduce the magic that is having trouble or maybe doesn't even work entirely, and how that all looks mechanically.
Very nice. Yeah, and tell us about your other books.
Yeah. So after Impossible Lands, come March, I think. We just announced this is the Firebrands. Last year, or I guess earlier this year, we had the Knights of Lastfall book, and before that we had the Pathfinder Society guide. So we're taking another deep dive into one of the organizations. This one is another that's brand new for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, just like Knights of Lastfall, which is the Firebrands, a group that's all about, or at least originally was, all about rebellion and fighting tyranny and liberating people and defeating oppression and giving everyone the freedom to live their own lives, which, we think that's a great ideal, but it turns out sometimes people piggyback onto these kind of things and see, hey, there's people going around punching tyrants in the faces, that looks fun, I want to go do some fun stuff. And soon enough, the Firebrands kind of expanded into this group that's not just about that, but if you're into fun and just adventuring and going out and doing whatever the heck you want, and sometimes looking good while doing so, then the Firebrands also cover all of that kind of stuff. So we talk about a number of different major factions, major groups that are noteworthy groups of Firebrands within the organization. They cover the gamut of those. So there's one that's just full-on rebellion, and there's one that's mostly rebellious but also has a bit of the flair and theatrics to it, and one that's mostly just there for fun but kind of uses that as an excuse to sometimes go do some good things, and one that's just all fun all the time. And then all these other factions or smaller groups and the different faction leaders and other notable NPCs, and of course we give you options for the existing archetypes that might fit, so you can get new options for your pirate or your dandy and new spells and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. So you have a lot of things to keep you occupied.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's just the ones that have been announced. I'm sure there's another half dozen or so that are probably coming on down the pike. Luis, thank you so much for talking to us today. We're really looking forward to getting Travel Guide out into the world. Enjoy the rest of your con. Any final thoughts for us?
I think, like I said, if the travel guide has so much stuff that I think we can spin out into more, and if people really enjoy that, if what I'm saying is, it sells really well, I'll be able to convince the other people here at Paizo to let me do that kind of stuff, or maybe at least do a follow-up to travel guide and get us more details on some of the other stuff that you might still be interested in to flesh out the world. So hopefully everyone that wants more travel guide will let it be known, and show that through sales and by also bugging people like Eric Mona.
I was going to say, and Eric Mona's email address is?
Probably on the website somewhere.
You can find him on Twitter, I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, Luis, thank you so much for joining us today, and you can find Lost Omens Travel Guide in your stores on August 31st. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great Gen Con.